Hello, Power fans of Mathonical, and you're joining me for the wrap-up with Affinity. We managed to get the 5-0, which we're very happy about, and now we're just going to kind of talk about your additional options and some of the choices we made, and if there's anything that we would change going forward. So, as many of you may have noticed, I am not playing any of the Gear Seeker Serpents. I feel like it's too tough on the mana base to have a double cost spell. I know some people have played, I believe it's the Somber Hoverguard instead of that. But when I was looking at the list, I decided we didn't need either of them. Instead, I wanted a 17th land just to make sure we hit our land drops. Although I think during the series I never once played the Ancient Den, or at least not at any point where it was relevant. And I do quite often side it out when on the draw, since 16 lands with proper mulliganing is enough. So we'll talk a bit more about mulliganing a little bit later on. Flex slots, you have the Flings and Temur Battle Rage. You can play some number of these. I decided I wanted 3 of this effect. I felt when I was in testing that 2 wasn't enough. I wanted to reliably have one of these effects in the games where I wanted it, so 3 is kind of like that magic number where you're likely to see one of them in a bit of a longer game. And I leaned heavier towards Flings, just because I feel it's a bit more versatile, being able to remove a creature when you need to. And I also did put the 2 Metallic Rebukes in there. Some lists play it, some lists don't. And my opinion, it's good. You do want some number of these. I believe you can flex maybe a third one if you really wanted to, if you wanted a little bit less on the Fling package, but this is definitely the way to go. You also have a bit of flexibility with the amount of Flayer Husks, Springleaf Drums, and Prophetic Prisms. I went with this setup mainly because I wanted to skew more towards having the Prophetic Prisms for better fixing, and I felt 3 Springleaf Drums was generally good enough. Having to tap a creature for the additional mana is a cost, so instead I'd rather have an additional Flayer Husk just to have the... Flayer Husk is just that really good pulls the deck together kind of card, so I did want more of that. The way things are set up right now, we're going to have like 4 of any one color of land, plus 4 Chromatic Stars, plus 4 Prophetic Prisms, plus 3 Springleaf Drums. So we've got 15 of all of our relevant colors. Mathematically, that works out to being sufficient. Of course, it does mean we may have to mulligan occasionally a bit more aggressively. So about mulliganing, in this deck, it is more important to really pay attention to your mulligans and mulligan more aggressively. I know a lot of the other lists I've played, I can essentially keep nearly anything with Rally Gone, since we've got some combo, inevitability, ways of stalling out the game. So I don't mulligan that often, but with Affinity, you really need to have a game plan. You need to have like a turn 1 or a turn 2 play. You need to be dumping your hand early, or you need to have a plan of being able to get an Atog online and winning with that. You need to have a way of like either Galvanic Blasting your opponent's creatures. Quite often you may have like 3 lands, but no way of casting any of your spells because you don't have the right mana. You don't have the right colors. So you need to be paying attention to what your opening hand can do, and not depending on the top of your deck. As you saw, we were able to win with 5-card hands. While it is a bit close, and you do have to play very precisely and hope your opponent doesn't get the perfect god hand, that's what you have to do with this deck. It is an unreliable deck with 15 sources of each color and playing 3 colors. Mulligan often. It will help your chances. So with the mulligan spiel out of the way, I am quite happy with where Affinity is right now. Of course, by releasing this, there is going to be more Affinity hate going out there. Just be warned. If there's an uptick of Affinity, people are going to uptick their amount of Affinity hate. In the sideboard, we also have quite a bit of flexibility. If you're expecting more like elves and stompy strategies, we can always bring in, we can always have an additional shaman in the sideboard. Some people even play 1 shaman main. I don't necessarily feel like the Shaman main is correct, since there's a lot of matchups where it's completely useless, but to each their own. Feed the Clan, I used to have this at 1, but because leagues generally have a bit more burn than challenges, I did up that to a second one. I used to have 2 relics previously. But essentially you have a lot of flexibility here. You can always go down one Dispel for something else. You can always change these numbers around. Since we are playing so many colors, you can even bring in things like Ray of Revelation, Ancient Grudge, um, yeah, any like really cheap, good sideboard cards. Affinity can essentially play it all, so just kind of go nuts there. I wouldn't. Some people do play off-color things like Duress and stuff like that. I wouldn't recommend those. We're already stretching our mana base with 3 colors, 15 of each source. If you pull in an off-color spell, you can always like switch the Ancient Den if you want to play Duress into a Vault of Whispers. Um, and then that would give you, what is that, like 12 sources of that color, but remember that Chromatic Star is just like a one-shot color fixing. So if you're burning it on a Duress, that might mean you don't have that one shot to cast like your Carapace Forger or your Thoughtcast. So do keep that in mind. But all in all, I'm really impressed with how Affinity performed. I've been playing it almost all week at this point and have really been enjoying it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I know that there's some plays that I can definitely work on with Affinity because it does have a few different lines. I'm still not sure on early turn sequencing between Flayer Husk, Springleaf Drum, and things like that, so let me know. Please correct me if I've done something incorrectly. And thank you very much everyone for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later.